I don't know what vlog this particular clip is going to be in, so things might be a little bit out of order, but I have some really exciting book mail that I have to unbox with you guys right now. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I have 2 packages here that we're going to do a little unboxing of. Yeah, okay. She's a little bit bent up from the mail, but I mean, you kind of got to expect that. This is Magnolia Parks, and it's the UK edition because the US ones are ugly, so uggo. So I got the UK one secondhand off of, I think it's abooks.com. I already have book 3 over here, but I wanted to get the rest of the series so that they would all match. Okay, this is only, 2, but they'd all match. I have all the pretty UK editions. So this other package has to be Daisy Hates then. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Okay, this one is quite a bit more worn and torn on the spine, but sometimes that's what happens when you buy books secondhand. I just gotta deal with that. So there we go, the first 3 books in this series. We got Magnolia Parks 1, Daisy Hates 1, and Magnolia Parks 2. I have read books 1 and 2, but I wanted to buy them physically and annotate them because when I read them the first time, I read them digitally. And so after I read the first 2, then I will read this one, which honestly I think has the prettiest cover out of all of them, but all of them have such immense detail to them. I think I heard somewhere that Jessa Hastings' friend does all of the art design for the covers. And if you pay attention to what is on each book, there are hidden messages and symbols in the cover designs. I'm so hyped. This made my day. It's a good day. It's a good day. Good morning. I know it doesn't look like the morning, but it is. It's currently 11:15 a.m. It is thunderstorming outside so bad that I think the sky looks green and I can barely see 2 feet outside my window. The fog is so thick. So I wanted to film today for my other channel, for my bullet journaling channel, but it is so dark in here and I use natural light, so couldn't do that today. Anyway, it will get done. It'll get done. But I still wanted to update you guys here because although I haven't filmed a lick of it, I'm currently 60% of the way through Magnolia Parks. And I should have been filming because this rereading experience has been so good. Oh my, I'm obsessed. I knew I was going to be obsessed because I read this the first time and gave it 4.5 stars. But on the reread, I'm she's about to be a 5-star. This is a banger book. If you've never heard of this series before, this series follows 2 main characters, Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates. And so books 1, 3, and 5 are Magnolia's point of view. Books 2, 4, and 6 are Daisy's. Now the first book follows Magnolia and BJ. Magnolia and BJ are they're soulmates. They really are. They've known each other since she was 14 and he was 16. Currently they're 22 and 24. Loved each other since the day that they met. They have always been together, but their relationship is so broken because they had a big blowout fight 3 years ago and broke up. And so they have not been together, dating since. However, they're always together, physically, and they're always still pining for each other and love each other, and they fight so much and they argue, but they also are always there for each other, even though they're apart. However, they are jealous and they like to make each other jealous. And so Magnolia is a maniacal dater. She will date everybody to make BJ annoyed, and BJ sleeps around a lot to make her annoyed. And so they are obviously so toxic and so not emotionally intelligent. But you read this book and you just understand them, and they're just so passionate for each other, but they just refuse to admit it. Jessa Hastings' writing is just immaculate. It's a mix between really lyrical, beautiful, heart-wrenching quotes and also just incredibly relatable and funny sections. We're supposed to dislike their characters in some ways on purpose because they're making so many mistakes every day, and that's the point, babes. That's the point. Also, I don't know if I mentioned, but they are also London socialites, so this entire group of friends are incredibly rich. They are all trust fund nepo babies who live in high society London, and so Magnolia will always wear, and they all wear designer clothes, and she's always saying what someone's wearing, and BJ's oh, don't worry, I'll get the car, or I'll whatever. And they're very rich, so it's not only watching these group of people just being messy, but it's watching Gossip Girl, basically. It's drama, but they're rich and privileged, so the fact that we hate them is a little bit excused because they're also just ignorant and privileged. But I have been annotating this book. I'm only, like I said, 60% of the way through, but you can see, girl, there are tabs galore. I feel I've written something on every single page. This is already feeling 5-star level, and I even prefer Daisy's books to Magnolia's, usually. I've only read 2, but I still prefer hers to Mag's because Julian. Anyway, it's just so smoothless and seamless, and you're sucked into the story and you can't stop reading. I binged a third of this yesterday. That's why I honestly didn't vlog. Most of it is because I was sitting at this desk reading for like hours. And my roommate was here, so I couldn't, capture it on video, but I just inhaled it. Even though it is a reread, I think it's just still an incredible book. I know what's going to happen and I'm still hooked. So I'm going to read a little bit now. And then I have some work I need to do. Again, it's very dark in here, so I don't know how good this footage is gonna be, but I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed, and this is about to be a 5-star read. Besties, we need to talk about Magnolia Parks, because I finished this book last night, and before you even ask, yes, it was a resounding 5-star read. Now, the first time that I read this, I think I mentioned this already in the vlog, but I gave it 4.5 stars. Towards the end on my first read, I felt like it was a little, not even rushed. I just felt like there were a couple things that came out of left field. There are a couple plot twists at the end. There's one big plot twist at the very, very end of this book, like last couple pages, that I felt the first time I read it was out of the blue. It wasn't really led up to, and I don't like when plot twists are put in just to shock an audience. I want there to be a build-up, and I want you to be like, oh, that makes so much sense when you get to the plot twist of a book, which is why my first read, 4.5 stars. But on the second read, with the context of that plot twist in mind, I was reading the entire book and catching hints. Jessa was leaving us some serious breadcrumbs throughout this entire book that you just don't notice, and she does it so well. There are also a bunch of other little plot twists and minuscule things that go on throughout not even minuscule. There are a bunch of crazy twists and turns to their relationship, to the friendships, the relationships in this book, not just between BJ and Parks, but with other people too. So much going on. Jezza has really crafted such a web, I guess, of characters and conflicts and connections and stuff like that. It's just so well thought out. And in my head, I'm also thinking, like, she's written this much in book 1. I've only read 2 out of the series. What more is she going to write, I'm sure it's going to be crazy, but I'm just like, what else do you have to give us? So just the fact that she has crafted this incredible, like I said, web, and in my opinion, the ending of this book, the plot twist, really, it did tie in well, because on a reread, I noticed all the little, trails and breadcrumbs that she was leaving us. I was like, it's without question, 5-star read. This is a pretty perfect book. Now, some of you may not like this book. I'm not saying it's a book for everyone. It's one for me, that's for sure. I like drama, I like romance, but I also like complicated characters, and characters that you can love and really just feel for and be obsessed with, but still recognize that they have lots of flaws and lots of issues. BJ and Magnolia have lots of flaws and lots of issues. They are not incredibly emotionally intelligent. They need to be more mature in order for their relationship to really work long time. I still believe that they are soulmates, don't get me wrong, but I think that they are a long way from being permanent partners for each other, because they're just not there yet. That being said, it's such a good time. You laugh, you may cry a little bit. I cried the first time that I read this. Also, I completely annotated this book. I don't even know if you can see all of the annotations or all the tabs, but there are so many little annotating tabs on the side of this. I feel like I was scribbling and underlining literally every other page. I'm so glad to have these physically, because they are now precious books that I will just hold on to, I guess, for the rest of my life. And if I lend this book to someone, then they can read my annotations as they're reading, It's just I love annotating my books and having them done, and just having my thoughts and my heart in this book now. And I'm excited to have book 2 on my shelf as well for when I move on to the next one. But that's not going to happen right now. Don't get me wrong, okay, I really want to read the Daisy Hates book and do my reread of it before I get into the 3rd Magnolia Parks book, but I have a couple of other books on my TBR, on my want to read list. I still need to finish a different book for a different vlog that you will see, I think, after this one, and so I'm not sure I'm going to pick up next after I finish that other book. Obviously, you'll see in 2 seconds, but I think I'm just going to take a break from this series and come back to it a little later. So yeah, let's see what I pick next for the vlog. Y'all, thank the Lord for Kindle Unlimited and Larry Reads, because I was trying to pick a book to read next in this vlog, and I was scrolling back on my want to read list on Goodreads, and I put 3 Kindle Unlimited books on my Kindle last night. I had The Goddess of, which I just recently heard of as a really good fantasy. I have Play Along, the next book in the Windy City series, my last one before book 5 comes out this month. And then I also put Insatiable, which is the first book in a dark romance series. And I was like, which of these 3 am I in the mood for? Fantasy, contemporary, or dark romance? And then I pulled up YouTube and I was watching Larry Reed's vlog where she had read her mother's book recommendations, which, by the way, I love Larry and I love her mother. They're so funny. And there was a vlog where she had read Insatiable and this entire trilogy and gave it all 5 stars. And I was like, I'm kind of in the mood for dark romance. Let me pick this up. I talked to you yesterday about finishing Magnolia Parks. From the hours of like 10:30 p.m. last night to maybe 9:30 this morning when I got out of bed, I've gotten through 53% of this book. I've read 200 and something pages of this book. Here's the thing about me and dark romance. I think that I love dark romance, and I do, actually. This book is proof that I love a good dark romance. I like my characters to be morally gray, to be questionable. I like there to be some spice. I like there to be some danger. Like, this is what I want from a dark romance. But too often, I read dark romances where they cross a line, and usually for me, that line is the main MMC sexually assaulting the FMC. And honestly, that happens way more in books than you'd think. And that's where I have a problem when we're romanticizing things that her love interest is doing to her that she is not consenting to or not wanting. Like, that's where my line is drawn. Haunting Adeline was like this. There was Under the Oak Tree was kind of bridging that line. There's a serial killer romance that I read last year that I forgot the name of that was bridging that line. God of Malice bridges that line. Like, these are all dark romances that I've, well, besides Under the Oak Tree, that's more fantasy, but these are all romance books that I've read. I just can't get behind how people are obsessing over these books when the MMC is just a terrible person to the girl. All that being said, this book doesn't have that. This book is perfection. And I wish that there were more dark romances that I found that are like this. Like, I haven't been reading that many dark romances in the past couple of months because I've just been finding too many bad ones that I don't click with. This is giving me 5-star feelings, I'm not even gonna lie. And the synopsis of this book is so vague, and I went into it completely blind besides knowing that Larry had given it 5 stars. And so I don't want to say too much about this book at all. It is a second chance romance between 2 people. I think they live in Scotland. Honestly, they're both kind of morally gray, him more than her, and they are both going through some intense like trauma and abuse in their lives. There are a lot of dark elements to this book. Definitely read your triggers for this and see if there's something that would bother you or offend you. But this book he is head over heels obsessed with her. Even after their breakup, because again, second chance, even after that, he is just obsessed with her. And it is dual point of view, so we get both of their perspectives, which I'm obsessed with. This is like my perfect blend of dark romance without crossing the line, you know what I'm saying? Also, oh my gosh, this isn't really a spoiler because I talk about it very, very early on in the book, but our main characters are named Stacy and Cade, and Cade's father is named Tobias Mitchell, and he is a psychopath serial killer. And why am I saying that with a smile on my face? Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. But just like Larry said in her vlog, I need a book about Tobias. I need a book about Tobias. We haven't even seen him in person yet. We've just seen like news stories about him, and then because he's currently under a life sentence in some kind of institution, so he's like locked up, but we get like calls between Cade and his dad, and tell me why. I don't want to spoil what was happening, but he was the most like comforting and helpful and straightforward. Like, he just acted like a normal dad. And like from what they say about him, like, okay, he's a psychopath, but if psychopath, why hot? If psychopath, why attentive and caring? If psychopath, why still obsessed with the one love of your life? Like, I'm sorry, I need his book. I need his book. Lee Rivers, I haven't even finished this trilogy yet, but I need his book. So that's where I'm standing on this. Like, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm so excited about this. I honestly might get 2 5 stars in a row, which is crazy. But yeah, I just read Magnolia Parks in this vlog, and I'm about to finish this one. I got to halfway and like at night, basically. I'm obsessed. So I'm gonna probably need to like, you know, fly through the rest of this. I really shouldn't be reading today. I have things to do, but it's like taking over my entire being, basically. And yeah, if you want a dark romance that is just pure awesome, dark romance without having that issue of like romanticizing sexual assault, which happens in too many books, definitely pick this one up. No, because Your Honor, I'm obsessed. I want to talk, this is like minor spoiler, not spoiler for plot, just spoiler for like the situation in their relationship. I don't think I would mind hearing this if I hadn't read the book yet, but Stacy and Cade, when they first get together when they're younger, so in the flashback scenes, are both completely like virgins. They've never had any other romantic partners or anything like that. And I find too often in books, it's always like the girl who's a virgin and the guy who's like teaching her things and stuff. This one, not only are they both inexperienced, but Stacy is the one like waiting for Cade to be comfortable to do anything, you know, physical or anything. And I feel like it's always the other way around. And I love seeing not only two people who are like completely, again, inexperienced and are just like not even fumbling around with each other, but just like being okay with being awkward and being nervous for each other, versus the trope where like the guy like sleeps around all the time and like is so comfortable with the woman's body. Like, give me someone who doesn't know a thing rather than someone who has slept with like 40 people and is like too experienced. You know what I'm saying? Like in a book, this is a trope that I need to see more of. Like, authors, give me more of this. Give me more awkward, nervous love interest. So give me more of this, pretty please. Jeez. I finished Insatiable on my Kindle last night, and I want to talk about it, but first I want to talk about this hair, because let me do a little 360. Yeah. I got this new brush off Amazon. It's just a regular brush, but it has these like little knobs on the side that when you like comb your hair through, it like splits up your hair. So what I do is I put the product in and I brush it, and then it like comes out in these like ribbon chunks. I bought it last week, so it's like my first week trying it. So we're on like day 5 or 6 of using this whenever I wash my hair or wet it. And I think like definition, I don't think my curls have ever looked this like ringlet and defined with like this little amount of work. So highly recommend if you're a curly girl finding yourself one of these. But anyway, let's talk about Insatiable, because like I said, I finished that. Did I say last night? I meant this morning. I read most of it last night, but then I finished like the last 10% of this book this morning. This book, I ended up giving it a 4.5 star rating. It is so good. I was thinking about a 5 star. I told you that earlier in the vlog, but towards the end, I had just a tiny little issue. I felt like overall the entire book as a whole was so good, but there were a couple little things that stood out to me as like kind of coming out of nowhere. And also I feel like the tension and build up between the couple for like the first like 65% of the book was like the best part. And then the minute that tension broke, and it kind of broke in an interesting way, not even anticlimactic, I just wanted it to be like a bigger hit, you know, the moment that they like the tension snapped, and it wasn't. And also I feel like I'm getting just a teensy bit of whiplash vibes between the two of them going towards like the end of the book, and between like the love and the hate kind of thing. I mean, obviously they're also feeling whiplash, so like I get it, but the way it was written, it was a little bit like very quick, like, oh, they're like getting together, and then it's like, oh wait, we're arguing, we hate each other. And then I'm like, okay, just speak your feelings. And then they do, but they don't finish a conversation. I'm just like feeling a little frustrated, enough to not give it a 5 star, but it still is a 4.5 for me. So good. Great start to a trilogy. Great start to more dark romance in my near future, because I do want to finish or work on this trilogy in the coming weeks. I'm not going to pick up book 2 right now. For some reason, very recently, I've had a hard time reading series in order and like back to back. I read the first 2 books of Flock back to back in April, but then I couldn't pick up book 3 because I was just like tired of the same characters. I needed to do a refresh and come back to it. And so I am adding this to my series to finish list, which is annoying because that list is so long. I think there's at least 15, 16 series on that list. I feel like for me, to keep myself out of a reading slump, to keep reading consistently, I like to switch things up more often. So again, not picking up book 2 with this, but I will hopefully in the next coming weeks, maybe months. And yeah, really highly recommend. Everything I said earlier at the video still stands, with like this stands out above most dark romances that that I've ever read. It doesn't cross a line for me. It's like the perfect mix of like romance and also dark, dangerous plot. So good. So if you haven't picked it up yet and you like dark romance or it sounds intriguing, I would definitely check this one out. So as far as the next book that I'm thinking about picking up for this vlog, again, it is mood reading, and like I just said, I'm trying to change around my genres. So I read a contemporary romance, I read a dark romance, and now I'm thinking I'm gonna get back into a little bit of fantasy because, speaking of series I need to finish list, I need to finish my reread of ACOTAR. This book is the third book in the ACOTAR series. I'm doing a reread of the first trilogy. She is a very chunky girl. This is, I think, 700 pages to the dot. Like, I think it's like 699 pages, and it is definitely intimidating. I do know the general story, but it's been a couple years since I've read this, like, at all. So I remember the general gist of it, but I don't remember every single scene. Hopefully it won't take me that long to get through it. And again, a reread is always great because you know the plot. It's just like a fun time to be with your favorite characters again. If you aren't aware, my favorite character in this book is indeed Asriel. I love him so much. Yeah, I'm so glad to be back with my besties, and I'm just remembering off the top of my head some iconic scenes that happen in this book. So yeah, let's get into A Court of Wings and Ruin. It's crazy to think that within 2 days, I've gotten to exactly 300 pages in this book, which is almost like a full book. Like, I've been reading a lot of 400-page books recently, so that's like 75% of a normal book, and it's only 43% of the way through this one. I love Sarah. I really do. And I want to talk about that in just a second, but it's just crazy to me that like one person has this much to say and yet it flies by so quickly because it's only been 2 days since I last talked to you and I've gotten through 300 pages. Because this is Sarah J. Maas's most popular series and because she is an incredibly popular author, it's one of the biggest, or at least book one in the series is one of the biggest books on Book Talk, and it's one of the books that gets people into reading. Because of that, any popular book is also going to have its haters. It's just a fact of life. And I feel like this series gets a lot of hate, kind of how Fourth Wing gets a lot of hate as well, which I also really enjoy. And the longer I go since reading the book for the first time, the more I start to think like, okay, maybe their critiques were kind of right. Like maybe, you know, Reese is a little cringy or overbearing, or maybe the main character really isn't that intelligent, and you know, all the different things that people start hyping about. They also like hate the kind of animalistic terms in the Fae world, like using the word mate or male and female versus men and women, which honestly, I mean, it's not my most favorite thing ever, I'm not gonna lie, but it really doesn't bother me. That being said, the longer I go without reading it, I start to think like maybe they're right. Maybe it wasn't that it was a really awesome book, it's just the fact that I first read it when I was like 13. But legitimately, rereading this series, I'm like, this is actually a good book. Like, I mean, everyone has their own tastes. You can like what you like and you can have critiques about a book if it really doesn't fit with you. That's totally fine. But for me, I'm like, Sophie, you need to stop like letting other people's opinions get into your head. When you pick up this book again, even after like 4 or 5 years, it still hits just as much as this first time. Like, truly, I'm having so much fun with this, and I'm just reminded once again why I love Sarah J. Maas. Really just does the damn thing. You know, she knows what her style is, she knows what we want. She just gives us everything in the perfect format, the perfect way. Like, yes, this book is really long, but as I'm reading it, I'm like, I got through 300 pages faster than I get through 300 pages in any other book. The characters are like my family. I just have so much love for all of them. Every scene is perfectly paced, and I feel like it's just really well written, and I need to stop making people think that Sarah J. Maas can't write, because she really can. And I'm just like obsessed. I really am just obsessed. Genuinely, like, On my reread, I gave book 1 4 stars and book 2 4.5 stars. I'm debating bumping each of those up a half star, like giving book 1 4.5 and giving book 2 5, because honestly, what is stopping me? I think honestly what's stopping me is the comparison from Throne of Glass, because obviously the highest you can go on Goodreads and Storygraph and stuff is a 5 star, and so if I gave every book in Throne of Glass 5 stars, but that one is still above this one, then I have to lower this one down, by increments. But that's just not fair to a series that I love, to characters that I adore, to plot that I think is really well done. I wouldn't say it's doing anything incredibly original. I would say that this is one of the first series that is doing what it's doing in the romantasy genre, and it's like the blueprint for other series. Even though it maybe is a little bit more simple than Throne of Glass, or easier to wrap your mind around like the plot and stuff than Throne of Glass, that doesn't mean it doesn't deserve like a 5-star level rating just because Throne of Glass also sits there. Does that make sense? So I'm thinking that I might like bump the first 2 books up a half star each. Side tangent, I know I've been yapping, I will make this quick, but I think in general I have had such a hard time getting 5 stars recently, and I think it's just because that I don't even think I'm reading bad books. I mean, some are bad, but I think in general I'm reading pretty good books. I've just been really hesitant to hit that 5 star. I will give so many 4s and 4.5s, but I will not hit that 5 star often. And I think that 5 star has to be a feeling. Totally agree on that. And I don't think every book deserves that 5 out of 5 star. But I think in general, like sometimes I might be a little too critical in the fact that I just don't give very high ratings, like extremely high ratings very often. And I want my 5-star shelf to be like the best of the best, the cream of the crop, you know what I'm saying? But I also feel like if I love a book, like how I love the ACOTAR series, I really shouldn't be knocking it down a half star for like tiny little nitpicking things, when really like the entire series, in my opinion, could deserve that 4.5, 5-star levels. Anyway, I've been yapping for like 10 minutes. I need to shut my mouth, but last little update is I am moving out of this dorm in 2 days, which yay, I'm so excited. And next year I'm actually going to be in an apartment. I've lived in this dorm for 2 years and it's been a great experience. I'm not gonna lie, I really like this dorm out of the other options that there are on campus at least. And I like my room and everything, but I am very excited to move into an apartment next year and have my own, like my own space. I don't have to have a roommate, have my own thing. And so that means that we're going to be saying goodbye to this current bookshelf organization. And then when I come back to college next semester, I'm going to probably get another bookshelf and expand it because I am out of room. You guys can't tell, but there are books on the ground. There are books tucked behind the stacks because there are just so many. I think I have like 94 books with me right now, and that is too much to fit on this one shelf. And there's also, by the way, like books on top. Anyway, it's a whole thing. And so I'm going to be taking the books off of this, I think either today, which is a little sad, but I think I'll be like doing a little bit of packing everything up. And then in a couple months, you'll see a new bookshelf organizing video when I have 2. So I'll have much more space and room to expand. I'm really excited about it, but it's also just like, one last moment with this setup right here. Let's take her in all her glory before we bring it back home to Houston. Hello. Okay, so obviously the setting has changed. I am back in my childhood bedroom at my childhood home. I'm using my phone as a microphone because my actual mic is somewhere in the boxes that are in my room. I've been unpacking all day because we moved yesterday. So I think the last time I talked to you was 2 days ago. And I have quite a few book updates to talk about. But first, I want to talk about my book organization because I have kind of redone the corner of my bedroom. This is the same shelf that I had in my dorm, obviously, but I've never actually had it in this bedroom before because I bought it for my dorm, and it just perfectly fit in that little like nook back there, which is great. Now, this brown bookshelf, this short one, I've had in my room for like years, but I always kept like my childhood books in this while I've been at college, and so now that I'm here for the summer, I figured I would just like put up my dorm bookshelf and kind of organize all of my old and new books to kind of make it all, you know, one little corner. And I honestly think it looks pretty cute. I mean, my room right now is very like gray and blue because I decorated like that when I was like 12, and now I'm 18 and I have a very different aesthetic. But even though like the coloring and stuff isn't like my favorite thing ever at this point in my life, I feel like the corner is still super cute, and I want to do a quick little tour. I'll show you the books in just a second, but on here we have my record player that has been in my dorm room, as well as my records and a couple little stuffed animals that I didn't get to bring with me to college. I have my 3 on the bed that I usually have, but yeah, this is the like overview of everything, and now I'm going to show you like how I organized where I put each of my books. Okay, so this corner is very dark, so sorry if the lighting is bad, but this is like the new organization of the shelf in my dorm. Because I have this shelf down here with more room, I kind of took what was crowded in this shelf and moved it over here. So now I have more space on this one. Up at the top we have my main Throne of Glass series and Crescent City, and then down here we have the remainder of Sarah J. Maas stuff over here, going into the Powerless series, although book 1 I'm currently lending to my sister, and then going into Fourth Wing. This shelf right here is like fantasy overflow, so we have just a couple like random ones here, and then we have my Six of Crows duology and my Infernal Devices series. Again, down here the lighting is pretty bad, so if it's dim, I'm sorry, but this is where we have like contemporary romance that used to be at the very, very top, but now I moved it down here. So we have more dark romances on the left coming towards Say You Swear. Magnolia Parks is like kind of dark, but not dark as in like guns, violence, dark as in like emotional, and then the favorites. Down here, this is more contemporary, so again, this used to be kind of consolidated mostly on one shelf, but now I've like spread it out and added a couple books to make it cover 2. So we have my Lauren Asher over here, we have some miscellaneous contemporary, these are like light and fluffy romances. On the side, we have Daisy Jones, which is more historical. Alice Feeney is my one thriller, and then Frederick Bachman is like my one literary fiction book. I know the quality is going to be so bad, there's no light down here, but this is like extra miscellaneous books. So we have my crazy Stephen King book, nonfiction World War II book, and then some historical fiction like The Nightingale, and then just like historical stuff over here, some classics like Little Women, Anne of Green Gables. Tried to organize this like time period, so Song of Achilles is like ancient Greece coming towards like World War II, if that makes sense. Trying to catch all the light that we can down here. It's like behind my bed, which is why there's not much light, but this is my new TBR shelf, which is pretty packed. I need to like not buy any books until I can take some off of this. This used to be like one big shelf on my white one, but now that I've moved it here, I can spread it out a little more, and also it means there's more room on the white shelf. This is like my favorite YA series shelf, so a lot of these were at my dorm with me, like All of Us is Percy Jackson, then the Shiver series. Divergent wasn't at my dorm with me, but I might bring it to my apartment next semester because I'm thinking I might want to do a reread of Divergent. Crazy. This shelf is like my spiritual books, so like Bibles and workbooks, things like that. Over here we have just random books that I used to love when I was like younger, more YA books. These are like contemporaries and romances over here. In this dark, lonely little corner, I have my entire Wings of Fire series that I collected as a kid, with, mind you, tons of space for expanding and buying books over the summer. And then this last shelf is just a bunch of random books, again, mostly kid books that I have, but I can just like consolidate in this bottom corner. And then again, we have my stuffed animals, record player, records, a painting that I did. This corner is by no means perfect, but I think it does look pretty nice for what we have here. And again, room to expand for sure. This room is the guest bedroom in my house, and the colors are much more like my green, brown, beige kind of vibe. Bookshelf tour, I'm very excited about it. You might not have been able to see very well, it may have been out of focus, but I think it looks really good, so I'm excited about that. As far as book updates, I have my physical copy of Echo War in the other room, but I'm too lazy to go get it. I haven't gotten much further in this in the past couple of days between like moving, and also I actually picked up another book. I'll talk about it in just a second. Right now I'm at 67%, so 2/3 of the way through this, but because it is so long, 2/3 is like 450 pages, so I'm pretty far into it. I got to the point at the end of the book, in the most vague, non-spoiler way possible, obviously, a court of, well, maybe not obviously. I say obviously because it's a court of wings and ruin, but it is pronounced like Echo War. Anyway, there's some war in this book, basically, at the very end, and so I'm getting to the part where that war is beginning. All the stakes, all of the build-up we've been doing kind of comes to a close at the end of this like first trilogy, so I'm excited about it for sure, but I'm also just like kind of not been too intrigued to pick it up because I got in the mood a couple days ago to pick up a contemporary, like randomly. And so I actually started reading Play Along as well. This is the 4th book in the Windy City series. This is a contemporary sports romance. And because I've been like more drawn to reading this, in the very few times I actually have been reading the past couple days, I've been doing this instead of Acre War. Not that Acre War is bad in any means. It's still good, but I just have been less in a fantasy mood these past couple days, and I'm a mood reader at heart, so you gotta just bounce around and only read what would make you happy and not like force yourself to finish something if you're not ready for it yet. So that's my update on Acre War. Play Along, if you haven't heard of this series, this is the Windy City series, like I said. It follows different athletes, and book 5 comes out this May, and so I wanted to read book 4 before then. And this one is looking like it's going to be my favorite book of the entire series. So every book, like I said, different athlete. We have hockey in the first one, then basketball, then baseball, and then the last one's hockey again. So the 4th one is our second baseball book, and I am in love with Isaiah Rhodes. I love him. He is boy falls first, boy falls harder, absolutely simp, so obsessed with the girl. He's so perfect. He's so perfect. And I love every book in this series. I mean, people hate on book 1. I enjoyed book 1. Every book so far has been like above a 4-star, but honestly, out of all of them, this is my favorite so far, and it may be a 5-star level book, which is crazy because if we get 3 5-stars in this video, and I gave Insatiable, what, 4.5 stars, right? It may be the best reading vlog I've ever had in my entire life. So far this year, I've had like 6 or maybe 7 5 stars, and now in like the span of a week and a half we're getting like 3 5 stars. Like crazy, absolutely insane. This vlog is so long already, so I probably will talk to you next when I finish a book, which hopefully is soon. 2/3 of the way through Acre War, 40% through Play Along. Let's see if I can get a book done in like the next day or so. The raw footage for this vlog is so long. I need to cut so much down in this video. But I am finally here to say that we have found not only our second, but our 3rd 5-star of this video. Let's have a round of applause. Yeah. Absolutely. This absolutely is the best vlog I've ever made, or at least the books were the best I've ever read in a vlog, because 3 5 stars and 1 4.5. What is that, averaging to like a 4.8? Can I do mental math in my head? Such a good reading vlog. So let's talk about wrap-ups. Last night I finished my reread of Acre War, and honestly there were some twists at the end of this that I completely forgot about. Such a fun time. Absolutely loved this book. I finished annotating the entire thing, and I gave it 5 stars because, like I said earlier in this vlog, it deserves it. Now, I'm not going to say anything spoilery for this because, again, last book in the trilogy. I will just say that Sarah is very hesitant to make hard decisions as far as character deaths in, I think, all of her series, to be honest, that I've read, which I do appreciate in some form because I'm like, girl, I love these characters. I want them to stay with us. I don't want them to die, obviously. But then there's also the element of, okay, if we're in a war, we need to have some stakes. And there definitely are tragic losses and terrible things happen, and absolutely, because it is war. But I will just say that there is one instance where I think we probably could have, in the nicest way possible, gotten rid of a character to make it seem more realistic in a war sense. But I really shouldn't be complaining because they're still with us. And I do like the character, and overall, again, such a good read. It is thick, she is chunky, she really is, but the reread was such a good time. So 5 stars for this one. And then about, I don't know, 10 minutes ago, I just finished Play Along on my Kindle, and this was by far the best book in the entire series, and also has to be one of the top romance books I've ever read, simply because of Isaiah Rhodes, the man that you are. I can't. He is perfection. He is obsessed with her. He loves her from almost the start. He always talks about having a crush on her for like 3 years, and I mean, it's true, but he also like grows to know more about her and learn her personality, and she does too for him, and it's just such a sweet, perfect romance. Of course, the epilogue is just like a little bit of cringe with all the fan family and all the friends that they have in their little friend group, and I am just waiting for Rio's book, which it comes out, I think, in like 3 days. It comes out on like May 20th. I'm not gonna be reading it immediately because I just finished Play Along, but I probably will read it sometime over the summer because I'm very excited to finish out this series, the Windy City series. It's so good. And again, this was 5 stars, but the other ones were all 4 and 4.5 stars. I just had to give this one 5 stars because it was better than the other 2 and they were still at the 4.5 level, or other 3, whatever. Anyway, yeah, as you can tell, I'm just like, I'm a little bit shocked that we've had so many not perfect, but 5-star books in this vlog, like incredible. And also, this vlog has 4 books in it, which is why the video is so long. I feel like I don't vlog for this long usually, but yeah. So, quick recap. We read Magnolia Parks, 5 stars, obviously. We read Insatiable, 4.5 stars. This was 5 stars, and Play Along was 5 stars. So overall, I'm happy. I hope y'all are happy too. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do subscribe. I post reading vlogs every Thursday. Well, at least a book video every Thursday. And I will see you in my most recent one, which I'll link right here on the screen. Have a great week. Goodbye.